Over 3 painted panels, a story unfolds. A kneeling man and a woman look through an open doorway upon a miraculous scene. A winged angel, or divine messenger, lands in the presence of a seated woman who is silently reading, not yet aware of her supernatural visitor. In the room just beyond this pairing, an elderly man works in a carpentry shop, drilling holes into a board. Painted around the year 1430, this work tells the story of when the Virgin Mary first learns that she will be the mother of Jesus Christ, the Christian Savior, a moment in Christian history known as the Annunciation. The painting was likely produced in the workshop of Robert Campin, a leading painter in the city of Tournai, in what is now the European country of Belgium. In the central panel, Mary is seated on the floor and leaning against a long wooden bench while she reads from a book. She hasn't yet noticed that the Archangel Gabriel has fluttered into the room on her right. Gabriel's slightly crouched stance and unfolded wings suggest that he has just landed and is about to tell Mary the good news about her motherhood. As a clue to the coming announcement, we see a miniature Christ child swooping through the air on rays of gold and holding a tiny cross just above the angel. This scene transports us to the Virgin Mary's private home, and what a home it is! With a sleek wooden ceiling, massive fireplace, finely made wooden furniture, and costly decorative objects, the room gives off a sense of wealth and comfort. What it does not do is look like the kind of home a humble girl like Mary would have lived in 2,000 years ago in the Near East. In fact, the room looks like the home of the wealthy Northern Europeans who purchased this work. Everything about this well-appointed space would suggest the lifestyle of a well-to-do 15th-century family. This was on purpose. By making Mary's home seem familiar, the artist helped the owners of this work connect personally to the biblical event. The objects and colors in this room do double duty. They create a sense of Mary's home, but they also symbolize important ideas about Mary and the child she will soon have. This kind of symbolic language is what art historians call iconography. Textual sources, in this case the Christian Bible, help us to identify iconographic symbols and their meanings. Mary's dress, with its long sleeves, many folds of fabric, and gold edging, looks expensive, showing how important she is. The deep red color also reminds us of blood, specifically the blood Jesus gets from Mary as his mother. The rich fabric on the pillow and bench next to Mary is painted in a deep blue, which reminds us of the sky or heaven and was often used by royalty. This color pairing is meant to remind us that Mary is both the Mother of God and Queen of Heaven. The book Mary reads is protected by a gleaming white cloth. Held in her equally fair hands, this signals Mary's purity and the preciousness of the religious story she is likely reading. The finials, or fancy corners, of the bench next to her are shaped like little lions. These details are thought to connect Mary to the ancient Jewish king Solomon, her ancestor, whose famous throne of wisdom is described in the Bible as decorated with lions. Because of her important role in the faith, Christians sometimes call Mary herself the throne of wisdom. On the table next to Mary, which is tilted to give us a clear view, we see several more meaningful objects. A blue and white vase holds 3 white lilies from a single stalk. Traditionally, white lilies are symbols of Mary's purity. The 3 lilies gathered here also remind us of the Christian Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, who together make up the single Christian God. The candle is another important symbol. Streaming smoke, it looks as though someone just blew out the flame. This suggests that earthly light, the kind created by fire, is no longer necessary once the otherworldly light of God enters the world through Jesus. The table also holds 2 kinds of texts, a book with fluttering pages and a scroll, both resting on a green bag, the color of new life and springtime. The book is there to remind viewers of the 4 Gospels, the written accounts of Jesus' life that are the basis for the Christian faith. The scroll, a more old-fashioned form of text, recalls the stories of the ancient Hebrew Bible. Christians call these writings the Old Testament, and they tell the stories of the Jewish traditions from which Christianity developed. Notice how the book rests upon the scroll as though it builds upon that earlier tradition. In the back wall, above the archangel's head, is a niche holding a gleaming copper pot. Just outside the niche hangs a clean white towel with blue embroidery. Together, these are more symbols of Mary's purity. The copper pot is like the type of bowl used by a priest to wash in preparation for performing the Mass. the Mass is the most sacred part of Christian worship. During Mass, prayers are said, religious texts are read, and, most importantly, Christians reenact Jesus' sacrifice by eating bread and wine that for Christians of the 1400s was thought to be fully transformed into Jesus' body and blood. This part is called communion, and even for Christians today, this is the most personal and special part of their religious practice. As her spotless room and gleaming wash basin suggest, Mary is clean, pure, and ready to accept Jesus into her body, just as Christians do during Mass. Not only are the objects themselves meaningful, so is the way that they are painted. The artist pays careful attention to surface details. By painting in oil, a slow-drying material, the artist achieved deep, rich colors and minute details. We see the feathery softness of Gabriel's wings, the hard, shiny material of the brass candlestick, the grainy roughness of the wooden tabletop. All of this helps the scene we are looking at seem real. This is important. For Christians, this is more than just a story from long, long ago. This is sacred history, true events that must be remembered in great detail. The size of this artwork is relatively small, a little over 2 feet tall and just under 4 feet wide. This suggests that it was made for a small, private audience, perhaps for viewers to look at in their own home, where they could closely observe the work's rich details. The same precise style is used to depict the scenes shown in the 2 side panels. On the left, a man and a woman kneel just outside the door to Mary's room. They are in an enclosed garden with a high surrounding wall. The guard or messenger standing watch by the entrance tells us that this is a special place, not open to the general public. This enclosed garden is another reminder of Mary's purity. She is in a protected space, removed from the temptations of daily life. The rose bush in the background is also a symbol of Mary. She is often called the rose without thorns, a nod to her perfection. A bustling cityscape visible through the open gate at the back of the garden places us in the world of the 1400s. This is precisely the kind of town in which the original viewers of this image lived, worked, and worshipped. While we don't know the identity of the man standing guard at the gate, we do know who the 2 people shown kneeling are. These are the original owners of the work, Peter Engelbrecht, a merchant, and his wife, Marguerite Schreenmacher. Both are richly dressed in the style of their time, wearing costly fabrics and deeply saturated colors. Just check out Peter's massive black hat. They both kneel and respectfully fold their hands, as though in prayer. Technical evidence shows that the work was created in stages. The central panel showing the Annunciation was painted first, with the 2 side panels added later. The central panel seems to have been customized after purchase for Peter Engelbrecht and his wife. In fact, the name Engelbrecht means angel bringer, a perfect name for the owner of an Annunciation scene. X-ray studies have shown that the symbols in the window, the Engelbrecht family coat of arms, were added later, painted right over the original window. The wings were added, and so too were Peter and Marguerite as witnesses to a miracle. The right side panel shows a very different kind of scene. Here we find Joseph, Mary's husband and Jesus' stepfather, in his workshop surrounded by carpentry tools. Of course, these are far more than just tools. The various woodworking implements we see, like the axe, the saw, and the wooden rod, are all mentioned in religious writings that have been connected to the story of Mary and Joseph. Joseph was traditionally shown as much older than the youthful Mary. We see this through his gray beard and wrinkled skin. This mature, hardworking husband and father is shown building a mousetrap. Does that mean that Mary's house had a rodent problem? Well, sort of. If you can call the devil, the ultimate in evil, a rodent. The mousetrap being made by Joseph reflects religious traditions that saw Jesus' death on the cross as a trap for the devil. Evil was defeated when the innocent Jesus willingly gave up his life. Through the window beyond Joseph, we have another view of a prosperous neighborhood with shops and elegant townhouses that likely reflect the artist's and his viewers' own time and place. Placed in the world of both artist and patron, Joseph's workshop becomes a living and accessible religious story. This remarkable set of paintings was meant to be looked at for a long time and over again. Almost like playing a game, finding the layers of meaning is part of the joy of looking.